What up traders, what up investors, Ken here from Dyslexic Investor, and let's go ahead and just jump in right into the video. We're going to be looking at earnings, we're going to be looking at overall market S&P 500 QQQ levels on the charts, and then we're going to potentially looking at some trading ideas or some things that are interesting that potentially could pan out. On that note, I am again not a financial advisor. This is do your own research, do your own due diligence, and be careful in the market. And let's go start with the video. So starting off right off the bat, we're going to be looking at Earnings Whisper. This is actually one of my favorite things to do during earnings seasons. Earnings Whisper does a fantastic job, kind of just breaking everything down, what's happening for the week, who's the biggest names on Monday and before and after the close. So it's kind of jump through. There might be some other names and other logos that are really just popping off for you. I'm going to call this basically the squeeze or the 2020 list of failures, in the sense of how many people really bought potentially the height of the stock and really has kind of came down quite a bit here. So let's go talk about some real companies. We have some Uber, we have AMD, huge names there. The one that I think a lot of people are going to be talking about is Alibaba. That's of course going to be on Thursday morning. The very large stuff that's going around, potentially the delisting, potentially just a lot of drama. Let's just keep it at that going on over there at Alibaba, and especially in China. And then some names that we talked about that have really run up and then come down dramatically, like 70, 80, 90%. We got the old Robinhood, we got the Lucid Motors, we got the AMC, we got the Fubo TV, we got the Datadog. Actually did a little bit better, so I'll give it back on that. We had the Paramount one that kind of fell through. Carvana, which is going to be an interesting one to kind of potentially see what they say about the overall used car market again being on there. We have Cloudflare and also Penn National Gaming going through there as well. Of course, then we have some other names that you might not know of SoFi, Airbnb. Both these stocks have they're solid companies, but the stock has come down quite a bit here. Starbucks, don't like their coffee, that kind of stuff. Then we have some more brick and mortar, aka more stabler companies. We have the Generac. CVS has been doing well. Moderna, we'll see what they come out. Of course, a lot of these energy oil stocks that are larger components within the fleet of the XLE. So that's basically what we can look at here, and we can look at some of those charts here in the next segment. But without further ado, let's go ahead and just kind of jump into the overall market. So let's go ahead and just look at SPY. So just make it simpler for everyone. So SPY, as you know, again, this is on a weekly chart. We are kind of coming in here to very large bull runs, looking at these potentially to run up here to very significant levels here. We're seeing with the Fibonacci sequence here, we're looking at potentially a run up to within the S&P 500 to around this range here, so around 420, no pun intended. Let's go smoking here. Boop boop. That's a doobie. I don't know what that is. At that range there, which is basically the 50 percentile move, which is actually not a Fibonacci number, but we can kind of break this down a little bit more. So coming in here from this sequence, we're looking again, that 50 percentile move kind of lines up with a lot of things, but the really strong move would come in around that $434 price target coming in there on that side. So zooming in here, pinching in, we're going to be looking at the daily chart. This kind of shows a little bit more better price action here that we're seeing kind of play out here, especially with SPY here on like a lot of the volume. Like we have had very low volume, as you can see here on the bottom here. We have not been averaging on the last 21 average days. We've been actually slightly below that, even with the past 3 days on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, with the bulls buying a lot of things up. We were not really exceeding that limit on very aggressive purchasing and so forth on those limits. So again, that 421 is the price you're going to be looking at. That's going to be also coming into around the 200 exponential moving average as well. So there's going to be some kind of significant things lining up there. So on that fact, let's go ahead and just jump into the QQQ. Same kind of premise here. Of course, the last 3 days have been very green. We've been bouncing off here, looking at maybe this potential 282 level to potentially hold in the Qs. But again, it only holds until it breaks, right? And then we're going to be potentially coming up to a little bit of a higher level. So if we zoom back out to the weekly side, we have some very larger targets in this one in particular because of the drastic larger move down than we've seen than the S&P 500. But this 282 to 279 are both a significant level here, again, with the 200 EMA on the weekly side and, of course, the Fibonacci tree at the 1618 level here, which is coming in around that price target as well. So then what are we looking for? A potential move higher here. We can just do significantly pounce that up right here. So this is why I'm a little hesitant here. So you're seeing this. Let me zoom back into the daily side. We basically punched up and hit that 618, which is a very significant Fibonacci level at 315. And then we just kind of stopped. So the bulls really need to come in tomorrow or this week. Again, we had a lot of larger earnings last week. We had Amazon, Apple, we had Tesla the week before, Google, all this kind of stuff. So the largest companies have already reported. Now we have the smaller cohort of companies coming through, and a lot of the stocks that most larger hedge funds are not really heavy investing in, like the Fubo TVs and those kind of stocks like that. Mostly largely going to be investing in the NASDAQ 100 stocks that might have smaller positions, but the largest buyers are going to be in the the topper, more liquid names. Coming into the NASDAQ here again, that 618 hitting that 315, basically on the dot here, we're seeing that kind of come in there. So basically meaning the bulls need to really kind of push this higher. Where could we see this go? This could, again, could. This doesn't mean that it has to happen, right? Coming into this level here. So let's redo this. We're going to do a quick sequence here just on the daily side. So we talked about that 315, which would basically hit the 50 percentile move would be a little bit higher, but the real level for the NASDAQ is well above 355. I know that's really far away. That seems like miles away. But if we do get more positive stuff and we get more people buying the dip, which I always recommend, but we're seeing this potentially could be kicking higher here to that 355, which is that magnet. Again, I know that's quite a leap here. I'm not saying it's going to happen this week, which I can probably tell you statistically speaking that's not going to happen. So if we go here to the QQQ, the expected move for this week, which would be, what's this week? Would be August 5th. So we'll be right here. The expected move is $7.81. So $7.81, and the current stock is at $315. You can do the math. We're basically potentially looking for on the higher bell curve of possibilities to be breaking the 320-ish range, in even maybe breaking to 325 would be the probability of happening 70%, but that's a larger range, but that's plus and minus. So that means it could go substantially lower and break back down below 310 to the 308 range, which we could be a potential short-term level support here. But really highlighting that 282 being a pretty solid current level support here on the longer dated charts. So on that note, let's go ahead and kind of jump into some stocks here. We had Amazon this week make some monster numbers, and look at what happened with that one. That jumped up over 10%, almost 11% that following day, coming in at hitting that 618 like a like a target and just hitting it like a bullseye here. Literally just going gangbusters here, hitting that $136. That's after the split, of course. Coming that level there. Some other larger numbers, names that we want to talk about is Alibaba. We talked about Alibaba with the potential of being or being delisted from the overall U.S. exchanges, and that course kind of weighed on it quite heavily, doing the complete opposite of Amazon and going down 11% here, and potentially looking for some kind of floor support, potentially around $80. But this is going to be something very difficult to kind of look at a charting basis, because we're basically in the very unknown territory with Alibaba, and this thing has not recovered very well. I was very surprised to see it break above this yellow line, which is the 21 EMA here on the weekly chart, but it has just been obliterated here with that news and potentially scandals and all that kind of stuff going on with Alibaba. Some names that we want to talk about also is AMD is coming out this week. This thing is looking very interesting because it has been in a very steep downtrend since this like high of like 1 to 65 here, and it's been obliterated here, coming into a potential short-term bounce here again. I'm not saying this is going to be any kind of significant floor support at $74.16, but if the good news is coming, the bulls will be buying, right? Like, there are always going to be some ongoing optimism, especially with these tech sector stocks. And it's just going to be coming down to what is the price that people are willing to put their money where their mouth is and hold this position. That being said, is it going to be it's going into earnings? So you and I both know that it is a 100% coin flip with earnings on depending what Lisa says on the earnings call, or how the folks over at Wall Street kind of spin the numbers, whatever it could be. Like it's a coin flip. Let's just leave it at that. But minus the earnings potentially for this week, we are looking again that floor support potentially around 75. Why do I say that? Is because we have hit that here on the longer dated 200 EMA here on the 5-year chart on the weekly side. We've hit this kind of this pressure at this level price target here below, or this price volume before. I think that if we do get a good earnings, and they don't start saying things like supply chain issues and so forth, this thing potentially could get a nice little pump up here and get well above the 207. So what are we looking for? The potential move for AMD for this week? Again, we take a look on the weekly options for that as well. So we're going to be looking at the 5th of August. Let me get that out of the way. We're looking for a move of basically plus or minus $7. So nothing significant. So $7 could here would basically bring it up to that $100 plus range on the bullish side. Negative side will be breaking well below that $88 to $87 level there. Looking at that, we also wanted to talk about some of the other names. Like we had, was it Lucid Motors? Lucid. Oh, I spelled that wrong, didn't I? I spelled that wrong. Let me move those over here. Is it LUCID? Oh, good. There we go. So this stock has been completely obliterated here. Like we talked about, this thing was trading at $64 at one point, and now it's been completely down to $17. Very much been wrecked. We can look at Hood as well. That thing has its IPO thing has hit up all the way to 85, worked its way down to basically below 10. That's not a fun thing to look at. SoFi, not as crazy as the other ones, but it went up to 28. This was part of if you remember those days of SPACs, really kind of made its run up here, and now it's been grinding substantially lower as well. So another one that made, not with a SPAC, Airbnb, which again, not as crazy as like with the one we just recently looked at, but definitely something that has run up here and now been kind of just trading lower, well below its previous IPO pricing. as well. One that I remember a lot of people talking about was Penn Gaming. So a lot of people were putting their house up on mortgage to buy Penn Gaming for some reason. This thing, of course, went up to $142 on the height of speculation, and just came crashing down like the house of cards, well below the $36 range, now at $34, and maybe being a little bit more reasonably priced, aka coming in before the recovery after the pandemic. So looking at more transitory numbers there. Carvana is another one. So this is the one due to the used car market. They're talking about one that takes the middle of the day of the up to down move. This thing has gone up all the way up to $376 and made its way all the way down to below $30 at $29 currently trading, getting some bounces here and there, but this is something I would not want to touch with a 10-foot pole. So just be super careful out there, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you have a fantastic rest of the week. If you have any comments, questions, please leave them down below in the comments. Please don't forget to hit like and subscribe on your way out the door. And as well, check out the Discord if you have want to join our fantastic community. All right, I'll catch you guys on the flip side. Peace.